Hey everybody, I'm Laura DiCarlo of Career Directors International, and we're talking all things ultimate success without the stress for resume writers and career coaches. I'm super excited to be here with you today. Listen, this is important. If you're streaming on Facebook, you are going to want to go to bleh. I tried to look at the screen and talk at the same time. Evidently, I can't do both. You want to go to chat.restream.io/FB. You can see that on the bottom of my screen. By doing that, you can give permission for me to be able to see your name. That way, when we're chatting in the chat, I know who I'm talking to. If for some reason you can't do that, or I say I can't see a name, please consider ending each of your chat messages with your first name so I know who I'm corresponding with. All right, we are currently streaming on CDI's Facebook page, YouTube channel, and LinkedIn page. But again, use that URL at the bottom, chat.restream.io/FB, if you are coming in through Facebook. That way I know who you are. My cat Tallulah has been incredibly needy today, so I'm just giving you a heads up. She's literally, this is like the only moment all day she hasn't been on me. So I'm sure she'll start talking to us soon, so you have been warned. So this is our regular Wednesday show where I'll be empowering resume writers and career coaches to up your game with advanced technical skills, business shortcuts, and strategies to succeed with ease. We've been focusing on learning what's working and what's not in career industry business today. Last week, we finished up with our critical industry analysis survey, talking about the profiles of businesses that were earning $100,000 to $601,000 gross in the past year. And now we're moving on to other tools, techniques, and strategies you can use. But if you don't know me yet, I want to become your not-so-secret superpower. At Career Directors International, we provide all the tools, scripts, done-for-you resources, training, certification, and as of today, if you've seen the posts, awards to help you support so that you can love and excel what you do and make a difference while earning an exceptional living. That was a mouthful, right? So today, let me change my little topic here from the Facebook Restream. Today, we are talking about how to create, innovate, and stop trading dollars for hours as a service entrepreneur. But before we get into that, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. First off, and let me go to my chat, let me know who is here with me. I see somebody posted chat.restream.io/FB. Thank you so much for doing that. If you'd like to say hello, tell me who you are, I would appreciate it. I'm still seeing Facebook user. But anyway, if this is your first time with my show, maybe give me a hashtag newbie. If you are a CDI Association member or part of our free Facebook community, give me a hashtag soups for our career superheroes, because with CDI, we help you fly higher. Secondly, if you have questions while I'm talking, please feel free to put them in the chat. And again, end them with your first name. If I can't see your name, which I will let you know, I'll say Facebook user asks, then you know if you post again to give me your name. Hi, Patricia. Happy New Year. Glad to see you again. All right. And third, if you like what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you don't miss when I go live every single week at 3:45 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. All right, let's get into it. If you're ready, give me a hashtag let's go or hashtag yes in the chat. We are talking about creating, innovating, and stopping trading dollars for hours as a service entrepreneur. And I'm just going to remove that caption from my screen so it's not distracting us, since we're going to be talking all about it. All right, so let's see here. So let's be clear. I am not talking about, farming out your services to subcontractors here. I'm not talking about services that require a human being to put in hours to complete them. This is more about offerings to make money while you sleep, so you can, take vacations without having to stress over money, or go to conferences without having to spend every lunch hour and miss every evening event because you're working madly in your hotel room to finish projects. And yes, that comes from experience. I have seen that And it breaks my heart because people are attending these events, right, to change things, to better things. And if you miss half of it and all the networking and partnership building because you're in your room, what's going to happen, right? You're not going to get the ROI that you were meant to get. So, all right, let's see here. Yeah, so you can't trade, and I might be getting ahead of myself here, but it's really important to know that you can love what you do as an entrepreneur. And that's usually why we get into doing what we're doing, right? Because we're passionate about it. We want to make a difference. We want to help people. And you are service-based. So it's always your hours on resume writing or career coaching or assessments or interview prep, whatever it is, it requires you to do it. And it's great and it's fabulous, but eventually you kind of start to hit some ceilings, right? And this is, why we want to definitely look at what can we do to change and diversify, because you can only work so many hours long term. And if everybody is saying yes, then what's the next step? The next step is you raise your prices, and that's great. But I have heard people lamenting the fact that no matter how high they raise their prices, they still have people that, want to work with them. And often, career professionals tend to be caregiver types, and they hate to leave somebody out in the cold and want to help everyone. And they end up just working really long hours. How do you take vacations? How do you do anything when you're trapped? Often I see people falling into that hole I mentioned earlier about they just work longer hours, or you end up having to deal with the potential hassles of subcontractors and ghostwriters. And that's great. There are really good things to be said about it, but there's also challenges because we still have clients having services with your company's name on them, et cetera, et cetera. So diversification with products and programs that can sell without your required input into them to be paid for them is a very valuable thing. All right, let's see. What else do I have to say on that topic? I think I covered it. So we understand completely that, you might want to reach more people. That could be another reason why. It's not always just about, hey, that person who needs the carpal tunnel surgery, or and suddenly is like, oh, I'm trying to get a speaking software, but then I have to pay somebody to set it up, or you get a family member who's sick, or your spouse has a stroke, or you're hit by a natural disaster, or we have another pandemic. It would be wonderful to know you still had some form of income coming in. And yes, pandemic, I know that the world in many ways shut down, but people who had lower priced products were still able to, especially if they had lists that they were talking to, they were still very much able to communicate and help job seekers to understand that, here's a safe next step you can take. Study this in the meantime, get ready, get prepared, because maybe they weren't understandably ready to engage in a full high 3 to 4 figure service because employment wasn't imminent. But having products can be very, very valuable when these situations strike. And finally, I started tripping over my tongue earlier, but we also had the issue of, hey, you're making a difference to job. Most of my people who are listening are probably working with job seekers. I know I pitched this for all service entrepreneurs, but you're going to hear me talk about that, even though it's a pretty open-ended subject for any type of service entrepreneur. But, you do this often because you want to help people. And what better thing to think about? How could you spread your word, your expertise, your advice, your strategies to more people, right? And that is finding a way to offer your services at scale versus limited to, I book with this one person, I spend X hours with this one person, I move on to the next person. So, all right, tell me here, has anybody who's joining me, hi, Patricia, let's go. All right. Patricia or anyone else who may have come in while I was talking, anybody have a product or program already, either that's part of your one-on-one services or separate, let me know in the chat. And while I'm waiting to hear from you, I will go on to my next point, which is what you might offer. So this is the great thing, especially when you're self-employed and you have services, is really this, and this is not me being like flippant, but the sky is the limit here on how you can address this. Often I find that, so many, especially resume writers and career coaches, they're just giving away information for free, or they're, sharing it when it can absolutely be monetized. And I am going to talk about monetization, but not yet. So let's talk about some of the categories of what you might offer. Books, ebooks, checklists, tip sheets, templates, template bundles. An example of a template bundle would be like a series of cover letters or follow-up letters. So cover letters might include, one for referral networking outreach, one for recruiters, one for replying to ads. So you could have, and those, you're like, well, that's still some work, but it's an add-on to your package when we talk about templates. Well, you could have generic templates, but when we're talking about job seekers with individual skills, I like to think that you'll take a done for you template and you'll spend the few minutes. Same way I feel about reference pages, in that, you can just very quickly do those. They don't take hours of your time. But you could have generic templates as well. Tip sheets, we have a lot of those in CDI. I will talk about those. Checklists, super easy. What is the client going to do next? And I'm going to give you ideas for content, how to find it, where to not reproduce it as soon as we finish talking about what you might offer. So our next bucket is, and these may not all exist in the same bucket, but this is how I'm talking about them. Courses, assessments, challenges, and by challenges I mean like a 30-day challenge or a 5-day challenge. Those are usually done through emails that you have autoresponders set up for. And while you might have active parts in it, like answering questions by email, you might not have anything. You might have pre-recorded weekly Q&As that come at the end of it that they watch that require you not to do anything unless they decide to take the next step from the challenge and make a greater purchase. So a lot of different models, recordings, PDF-based, website-based. You do not have to get fancy. Everything I'm going to talk about here today, when you're thinking of like, well, that's a course or something they need to download, do I need to go buy into that system, or do I need to pay to get a website with a membership login? You absolutely don't, because between having Google Drive or Dropbox, you can put any items that your client needs to get, from videos to entire books, in there. And then you can have just an email you send out with links to it, or I prefer the welcome email that tells them how it's going to work, and then that autoresponder sequence where literally they buy it, and you can have it all automated. If you use an actual web cart, say like Woo, which I'm not saying I recommend Woo, but WooCommerce has a cart, and you can hook it up to many email services like CDI uses ActiveCampaign, and they make a purchase, it drops them into the autoresponder sequence, they get their welcome email with their links to their product, and bam, you are paying for the same email service and the same web cart that you probably already had. If you use PayPal, might be a little bit different. You might have to actually generate an email yourself, but that's something you can do in a second. Even if you have an arm strapped to your chest because you broke your shoulder like I did a few years ago. It's also something that a VA could do, an offshore VA could do very inexpensively. So you don't have to think about, oh, do I have to pay one of those sites or set up, pay somebody to set up a website for me. And they can also be hybrids, okay? So you can have a completely what we call evergreen course, which means it's all pre-recorded or it's all written out. There aren't live components, but you can opt to have things like one day a week you answer any questions that come in via email, or you watch for all the questions that come into the private Facebook group, again free, throughout the week. And at the end of the week, you go live and you answer those questions. Going live in a private group is not a scary thing because it's just you and your group. At least I don't think it's scary. I think it's scary to be out here not knowing who might be listening and watching, right? I'm not scared anymore, but it was intimidating to begin with, for sure, even for someone who's a ham like I am. All right, remember, if you have questions, put them in the chat. Patricia says, not yet, Laura, about having a course or program. Thank you for letting me know. Anybody else? If you've joined me late, I asked if you already have a product or program. So the next grouping is, again, there's overlap from each of these, but how I put them together for myself. Memberships, support programs, email coaching, Facebook groups. You could actually run an entire membership program from a Facebook group. I think it's a little messy because it seems like stuff moves around. Every Facebook group I'm in, something's in a different place. You might want to invest in a Mighty Networks account and do it there. I'm not a fan of, if I'm going to have to pay for services, I prefer to have them be on my own website personally. But a membership can be done through the Google Drive, through a Facebook group, through Dropbox resources, through autoresponder emails. Support programs, I've separated it out from courses because I think of it as kind of hand in hand with the Facebook group and the email coaching, that it could look like, I've literally seen programs where people have, I think it was $97 a month, but you paid for the entire year at once for $9.97. And every single week for 52 weeks, you answered the same 5 questions and you received an email response. So yes, that is still trading hours for dollars, but it's something you could do talk to text. You know, if you have I have a smartphone, so I can talk streaming messages to it, and people understand, hey, I broke my arm, so this is talk to text, avoid any typos. Your brain doesn't get any less smart simply because you broke your wrist or needed surgery or something like that. So you don't have to actually have support programs where you're physically booking time with somebody. They can be fully by email, where you're just, maybe it's, like I said, one day a week you answer email questions. Memberships, just to talk about that for a minute. I'll be talking about content and finding content next. But memberships, they're a body of resources where you often are regularly adding new resources. So, you have some tip sheets, you have a variety of things. You promise you're going to go live in the Facebook group once a week, and then you download that recording and you add it to the library for anybody who didn't attend or doesn't want to be in the group due to confidentiality or something like that. Simple stuff so that you're giving them access to a repository of information. And when you're thinking about working with job seekers, one of the light bulb moments I've helped a couple of recent members of CDI to have was the idea that we can think beyond helping them get this job now, everything that goes into that. We can also think about the onboarding process and the first 90 days of their new job and how they're going to be successful and provide resources there. And that is a great idea with a membership for job seekers, because if you write a really good resume, not that that's the only piece of the puzzle, but it's a big piece. If your clients get hired really fast, they may not see the super value of having 90 days of access to their membership portal included in their package. And they might be like, well, can I get a refund because I only needed it for 2 weeks? If you have resources about, becoming part of a team and, dealing with different personalities and, documenting your projects and work successes for your next resume update and things along those lines, you can have it be viable beyond just their getting hired point. Okay. And again, all these things can be done in just an actual social media group if you wish to do that. Okay. Now I want to talk about one that it's still, I have to throw this in here because to me, this is just such a cool thing. Even though it kind of breaks the mold of what we're talking about, it's usually the first iteration that a service practitioner is willing to take because, even with the great ideas I'm going to give you today, you still have to spend some time, putting together, even if it's just putting the lipstick on, not lipstick on a pig. That's not a very good analogy for the resource you're going to sell. But even if it's just neatening things up and making it look visually great, there's still stuff you got to do. But I have this one great idea that my mentor gave me that was a big success factor in my private practice. And that's where we have this midpoint or potentially stopping point, although I still encourage people to have products. And that is moving from a one-to-one model solely with your clients to moving to a one-to-many model. And basically, this is where if you have the knowledge or access to the resources to provide the knowledge, where the stuff you were giving away for free, or maybe the stuff you're currently leaving on the table, like say you're a document developer, you do resumes, documents, LinkedIn profiles, and you don't go anywhere into other career services that your clients really need those, right? They do, because if you don't sell them to them, they're going to assume that they probably don't even need them, and that maybe, I don't know, the resume is a magic bullet. And what does that lead to? That leads to surprise, disappointment, complaints, bad reviews, sometimes chargebacks. It's best to have a complete solution. And don't worry if you're like, I'm just a resume writer. What am I supposed to do? You've just ruined it for me. I'm not reading it for you, I promise, because I'm going to have ways for you to come up with content without offering those services in my ideas that are coming. But anyway, so how I'm presenting this might be an evergreen thing for you if you don't have a complete service offering. But if you are a career professional who does do documents and you do job search strategy and you do interview strategy and you're accustomed to like selling clients into a one-on-one model, which, maybe I'm a fan of, and it's our topic for next week, the 3-package strategy and how we price and position each of those packages psychologically to make that middle one be the Goldilocks of the 3 bears just right. So there's a little pitch for next week. But so your middle package and your top package might have these advanced strategies that your client needs in them. And if you don't already have a course or a program, it means you're having to do, everything they have to learn, you have to spend the time to do. So I would say on average, for me in the past, I would recommend 3 hours to a client. If it was one-on-one, sure, we would customize some of that because I was working directly just with them, but they would have to pay my hourly rate. So let's just say my hourly rate is $175 an hour, which for some that's high and for some that's low. But 3 hours, that's $525. Now you put that in a package with a resume that is already, possibly in the 4-figure range, and the other documents and the LinkedIn profile pieces you want them to have. And it can, your price tag is going up. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have a client right now who is only in the 2nd year of her business, and her middle package is over $2,500, and she is closing them. So it is absolutely possible to do this and close these higher rates. But you can do a couple things that make it easier to close your middle package, even though it's a lower amount, but it's going to save you a ton of hours every month. And that is to consider, instead of pitching your one-to-one in your ideal package, you pitch a group program. And before you close off to, oh God, a group program, let me be very clear that you could do an evergreen pre-recorded version of this. I have some reasons why I don't love that, but you could do that. Also, if you're inviting people to a Zoom meeting, you don't have to worry about the whole confidentiality thing. You've got a spin ready for those prospects, and you're like, when they're like, oh, well, I just, my job search is confidential, I can't be seen. That's fine, Tom. Just put in your initials and come in with your camera off. Nobody is going to know who you are because my clients are from all over the world or country or, whatever. And if you're still uncomfortable, you can just, I will give you a copy of the replay so that, you don't have issues there. But so here's the deal. So you've got this package, and say it's, it's $2,800 in the middle because you got the 3 hours of one-on-one. And for every person who buys that, you have to spend an extra 3 hours with them one-on-one. So if 10 people buy it in a month, that's 30 hours of work. Obviously 525 times 10, that's nice for sure. Nothing wrong with that, but it's 30 hours of work, pretty much saying and doing the same thing, right? That can get old. You could be like, well, that's pretty easy, I like it, but it also can get old. Now, what if instead you were pitching them into a group program that, say your a la carte, your higher a la carte price for that was, I don't know, $475, but as part of your package, it's, $299. And I might have pitched those too far apart. Maybe it's $425 and $299 or $329. I don't have an exact number in front of me. So say $329, and you get 10 people to agree to do your 3-hour group event, which again, doesn't have to be 3 hours all at once. I really like the one and done. My mentor used to literally have people fly into Chicago and high-level executives in her basement. They would do it, and then they would go out to clubs all weekend long. And yes, some came back again and again because it was fun and it was networking. I myself have hosted it in a boardroom for the incubator location I had, in a classroom when I was a director of placement for a university, and they let me use space in my dining room, and then online. But it doesn't have to be all at once. It could be a lunchtime thing. My feeling with job seekers is the goal is to not make people wait too long. So if your next one, if you're only doing it monthly and it's all at once, if your next one is 3 weeks off, give them access to recordings in the meantime, if you have them, and then, have them come to the live one. But you could split them up. It could be evening, it could be Saturday. I used to do mine on Saturday or in the evening. I've seen people who break them up, lunchtime things. So it's really whatever model you want. But the difference is, let's just say, and I can't even imagine it takes this long, but let's just say it takes you an hour of prep and an hour of, close out, sending people things, blah, blah, blah. 5 hours of work for, we'll say it was 300 in your package times 10. That's $3,000 for 5 hours of work, and you freed up 25 hours of time to work on the project or the product you wanted to take, or to start taking Fridays off, or whatever it is that you would really like to do. It is a beautiful model, and I instituted it, I don't know, was it 1997? Gosh, I feel old. I'm only 55. But whenever it was the thing that let me break what was then the, that 6-figure mark that I so badly wanted to achieve as some 20-something-year-old badge of honor of, look, I built a successful practice in the 90s when my parents were like, you'll never make money from your hobby. But it's a great way to recoup time, to give people what they need. And here's the kicker. You're going over, I always pitched it as a boot camp, and people love the boot camp name for some reason. Because I tried different names. I would tell my client, like, oh, boot camp. And I'm like, and they'd be like, oh, I love it. And I'm like, really? I wasn't sure about the name. That kind of followed me for like a year. And people were like, oh no, I feel like it's going to be, intense knowledge. And that's exactly what it was. This wasn't like a personalized networking, like when you come to CDI events and we have like breakouts and stuff. Yeah, there were opportunities for them to ask questions and hot seat for a few minutes here and there. But for the most part, I would be like, this is an intense delivery of information because I want you to know everything you need to know to successfully prepare to interview, follow up after the interview, navigate jobs that aren't advertised, network your way to opportunities, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to be giving you information. You're going to have time to ask questions, but there's not a whole lot of time to personalize it. And that's another secret sauce. And one of the reasons why I love to do it live, because if you just give people recordings, save yourself those 5 hours every month. Now you have to hope they watch them or listen to them. And, that goes down. People have the best intentions of doing those things and don't often follow through because they get busy. Whereas if they schedule something with you that's live, you have a lot higher of an opportunity that they're going to show up and participate. So when they saw it, it becomes easier at the end to say, I've delivered a lot of information to you. And I know that outside of questions that maybe you weren't comfortable asking or whatnot, that there's a lot of thoughts in your head right now of how am I going to overcome, the gap when I get asked about it, or the fact that I was, terminated, or the fact that I've changed careers. There's issues with, interviewing, the perks you might want to negotiate for salary, blah, 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 blah. And you can then offer, I have a special offer for you to be able to work with me one-on-one. Now that you understand everything you need to know and you are completely focused on where the gaps are, we can really get the most ROI out of our one-on-one time together by laser focusing on exactly what your needs are. So I am offering today. You're not just doing it for today, because a lot of times an offer just for today is slimy. So excuse my choice of words. I say I do have, for those who have attended with me with this event, that was messed up, but you get where I'm going. I am offering, my hourly rate is $175, but I have a 2-hour package for anyone who joined me here today for $250. That offer is available. I'll provide you with a link or however you want them to pay. And, give them 5 days. Don't give them forever. This is not an open-ended thing. This is a, opportunity for them if they would like to take it to the next level. Not everybody's going to take it. If you want to just do an hour because you're like, well, now I'm giving hours back. But again, you're bringing money on the table and escalating someone who might not have gone for the middle package to begin with. So, all right, I assume that's Patricia who said it sounds wonderful. Awesome. So yeah, I'm glad to hear it's resonating with you. Anybody else think it's resonating with them? Any of these ideas I've given you for what type of program, what stands out to you? I would love to know. And let me go on to my next bit while you're all thinking about anything you want to share. So how to create products, programs, materials, whatnot. Oh, Patricia says, absolutely fabulous. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So I've got a few favorites here. I've got a lot of different options here, so I will try not to overwhelm. One way to think about this is to first just stop and make a list of the things that you're repeatedly saying every time to your one-on-one clients. Like, is there a point at the end where you talk about, and this is what's going to happen next in terms of how you target your resume and customize your resume to each position you go after, how to follow up, how maybe you're talking about how to find and work with recruiters, or you're talking about what to know about the pitfalls of applying online, or here's your quick start guide to using LinkedIn to find opportunities. If you find yourself giving away information again and again and again, can be very rapidly. You could, like again here, smartphone, I could talk to text while laying on the couch or laying by the pool. Everything I typically say, and if you're clear enough, that was a good thing. If you're not clear, then you're like, well, that was a waste of my time. But you can share all the information, then clean it up, and wow, you have a check sheet, you have an instruction page, you have a tip sheet. Easy peasy. If you don't have the skills or aren't using Canva or don't even want to have the time, source it out to somebody on Fiverr for $7 to make it look, wonderfully, sexy and professional and branded with your colors and whatnot. Not a big deal, but in many cases, there are things that can be monetized that you're just giving away. All right, Facebook user, I like the way to make more money and save time for other money-making opportunities. Yes. All right, another way, which is a favorite of mine, which anybody who has the six-figure flight plan course from Career Directors International has seen this, but you just get, and I wish I had a pack of them here in front of me, but we all know what I'm talking about when I say get a pack of sticky notes. And literally, you are going to write a topic of knowledge, one specific piece of knowledge, expertise, whatever you want to call it, on each sticky note. And I don't mean resume writing, cover letter writing. Again, when we talked about cover letter template packets, we talked about, cover letters for recruiters, cover letters for posted ads, cover letters for referral contacts. You want to get really granular with every specific unique piece of information, because think about it. You could write and probably have written blog posts, LinkedIn posts, articles about a federal resume or a new graduate resume or an executive resume or a career change resume. So it's not just resume writing, it's specific granular knowledge, one on each sticky note. Once you've got your bazillion sticky notes, now you have all these items laid out. They could be on a whiteboard, they could be on your counter, they could be on you. I don't know. Sorry, you can't see them if they're on you. On a mirror. But you're looking at them and you're going, okay, I could create something about that. Or you're looking at how different pieces go together to create different products and programs. It's just a really great strategy to get what do I know that I could be talking about and sharing with my clients from, I call it blank page syndrome, where you're just staring at a blank piece of paper going, well, I don't know what I'm going to give them. Just get all the thoughts out onto sticky notes and use that as your catalyst to figure out how things mix and match and what they might create. All right. Patricia says, got Canva Premium. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, I'm in love with Canva. I had a Visme subscription. I still have it. I pretty much need to cancel it. I loved it, but I was pretty much creating everything from scratch within it, except for a few documents. And finally, having a team, Visme was super expensive, so I got a Canva. I love Canva so much. I spend more time in Canva probably than I spend in Word these days. Okay, next one, artificial intelligence. So you can use ChatGPT. So I know I talked about sticky notes, and you're like, well, now you want me to put it in the computer, but you could put a topic in and ask it to give you even a granular topic, or say you're like resume writing. I can't think of all the different subheads of resume writing. You could ask an AI software, that's usually ChatGPT or Bard, to, give you a whole give me all the ideas that I could write articles about, or write tip sheets about, or formulate a tip sheet on. You will always have to fine tune it and rewrite it, but it's just a great way to get your brain going when you're facing, again, that blank page or not sure where to go. It can give you tips, even though they're not your unique tips. I do want to stress, if you are a CDI Association member, make sure before you're using any of the AI tools that you're always putting in the data that you collected from, I think it was my first or second live stream show, which when I post the recording, there's always a link to the prior live stream shows. And for members, almost every week, I give you a free prompt for AI. And on one of them, I gave you a prompt to train it to speak in your own voice. And that's really critical, because then anything you're having that AI tool write for you is going to sound so much more like you. It's going to save you a ton of time. I'm not giving you a specific prompt here because I have a 2-part prompt as my member bonus for this week that I'm going to have with the recording. But the one little tip I will give you here is, if you're dealing with any long content, like you're like, oh, well, I wrote this thing, I don't even know, maybe a thesis or something. Let's just go completely random. I would love to, I did a thesis for my career counseling master's degree, and yeah, I just botched that completely. But anyway, you know where I'm going here. Big item, too big for ChatGPT. Claude by Anthropic, which is another free AI tool. It can literally take a book and break it down into shorter books or articles or blog posts. So I love recommending Claude by Anthropic if you're going to be analyzing any longer tools to create new tools or information from that tool. And if you're still trying to figure out topics job seekers need, everyone, members, non-members, you can visit CDI's free stuff page and find resources. We have a tip sheet there. One I love, it's called Documents and Services Job Seekers Need You to Sell Them. So that can be a good jump start if you're like, what do I write about? I'll put the link to that with the recording. Somebody asked, how do you spell that? Claude, C-L-A-U-D. I think there's an E on the end. If you just put Claude AI into a search, so C as in cloud, L as in Laura, A as in apple, U as in ugly, D as in dog, and I think there's an E as in elephant. And then Anthropic is just the site it's on. Okay. All right. So next we have, and I've kind of already started talking about that with Claude, using existing content that you've already created. There's really not much more powerful than not reinventing the wheel, right? So if you do, like I do, daily posts on LinkedIn, lots of content. If you're a regular, or were in the past, a regular blogger producing content, if you, any existing content that you've written, articles that you have ownership of, obviously if you sold it to a third-party site and promised not to reproduce it, that's a whole different thing. But even like my book, Resumes for Dummies, in my contract, I can use a certain percentage of that exactly as is, as long as I'm referencing where it came from. And then I also have in writing that as long as I'm including a copy of my book that's been paid for with whatever I'm doing, I can use as much as I want. So, as long as there's a book sale, I can use direct from my book, which is super cool if I want to do that. And I made sure that was possible because, hey, it's the knowledge that came out of here I want to use. But anyway, if you've got these resources, then again, this is where Claude, that I already started talking about, is such a great tool, because yes, you do have to gather together all of your posts, and unless you're insane like I am, and I actually have all of my social media posts each month are in a single Word document, because that's just how I like to, I don't know, I know of many better ways to do it, But when it comes to something like this, where I need to cut and paste it all into Claude and say, write me a tip sheet on this subject from this content, very, very powerful, because I didn't have to cut and paste from 20 different posts or 20 different Word documents. But you have, in many cases, content that you have been developing, and you're just taking for granted that you can stitch together into an ebook or something of the like. So, look and think about what you have written and if there's something that you could use. Now, next we have, and yes, I am switching between two different beverages. I do that every week if no one's ever noticed. I can't drink all soda, I have to add water in there. Okay, another thing you can do is you could interview people. I'm sure you've seen it where we have guests on podcasts, we have guests on live stream shows. There are books that are written where you're interviewing other people on a subject and sharing their opinion. In fact, one of the books behind me here, Job Search Bloopers, it's topics of, and you can see it even has the old CDI logo up in the corner, but it is literally all the mistakes that we've ever heard job seekers make, blunders, interviewing, job search, networking. And so it has some stories. Some of the stories were mine and my co-author, Susan Garneri's. Others were ones that CDI members contributed. And then advice, where we're actually citing and recognizing the contributors. And there's just like resume compendiums you might have submitted your resumes to, there's a directory in the back of all the contributors, but still it's your book. My name is on the cover of the book, but I've created a book through the help of other people getting to be visible in it. So you can have, and that's published through a publishing house, Career Press. But today, so many great tools out there for self-publishing. I've put my own books on Amazon.com. My favorite self-publishing tool for creating on-demand printed material is lulu.com, and I'll spell that. It's Laura Ugly, lulu.com. I learned about it, I don't know, 15 years or more ago from Fast Company magazine. And I'm like, I would have never gone there on my own, but Fast Company had it. And so I went and I have published a bazillion books, and it's printing on demand. So it's really, really cool. And they also have the ebook option, and they used to have a program to put it on Amazon. I don't think that they do anymore. I think you have to pursue that on your own with Amazon, but that's okay. But print on demand is pretty awesome. You're paying wholesale prices, and people can buy the book at whatever price you want, and you automatically get paid. So this is another place for you to make money with anything that you've created, and it is free. You only pay when you have a book printed. And you don't pay at all when someone else buys one from the directory. And you don't have to list them in the directory. Like, I don't even think I list this one in their directory, because I only sell it to people who have purchased CDI's Certified Employment Interview Consultant course. And then they can rebuy them with branding for their company right on the cover. So it's like their book. So see, there's an example of something I have where I'm like, hey, buy these. And I have a couple of resume writer coaches who one of them buys 200 copies a year for her clients. So it's a nice little added stream for me. A book could be a nice added stream for you. Okay. But yeah, so you don't even have to create it from all your own content. You can collaborate with others. You can interview others, making sure that they're clear of what this is. And another example of this, years ago we did, I thought I had the name in my head. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Okay. I'm embarrassed, but if you go to careerdirectors.com and you go to the job seeker navigation tab, there is a free resource there, which is like job search, short, sweet, and tweet. I know that's not what it's called, but literally what it is we did this campaign in CDI where we invited members to share a tweet length tip within 9 different categories of job search. And it had to be tweet length and include their their handle for Twitter. Anyway, we first did that campaign on Twitter where we shared their tips and interspersed them with a need help on your career? Visit CDI's job seeker page to find a professional. And I think it took us like 3 months to share all the tips. And once we shared all the tips, we put them all together in a book, which looks a lot like this, but it has custom cover art. Short, sweet, job search, short, sweet, and tweet, I think is what it was called, because it's all little. At the time, it was 144 characters was all you could put on Twitter. I don't even know what it is now because I don't like it. I don't use it. Anyway, an entire book made out of tweets on job search. Of course, we wrote little introductory paragraphs, but guess what? You could use AI to say, take all these tweets and write an introduction, an introductory paragraph. You could put the entire thing into Claude when it's all together and say, review this as a master job search and interview coach and create an introduction and a closing. And bam, you would have an entire book from either your own tweets or those from the colleagues that you source them from, where you're all in some way getting credit because they and their contact information is listed. All right, so I have more on where to get content that I'm going to talk about, but let me pause there for a second. And so why don't you just let me know in the chat if you've heard something in what I've talked about that has you excited to think, oh, this is easier than I thought it could be. Ideas. So let me know. And while I'm waiting for that, I will go on and talk about some more methods. I call these, more low touch methods. So you can also resell someone else's program or product. This is permission based, let's be clear, if you're just coming in on my saying that. So one easy way to do this is both members and non-members of CDI have access to our affiliate resources. These are services within the careers industry that have a product or a program that will either make your life as a career industry practitioner or that of the job seekers you serve better or easier. So like some of the affiliates we have, there's one for infographic resumes, which I think are super, super cool. There are some books that you can resell. There are, buy them wholesale and resell them. There are career and personality assessments. There are resume templates. I don't know if those are resellable or if they're just, buyable for your own use, but they're there. There's interviewing tools. There's different things. And those aren't the only programs that have wholesale elements to them. If you want to find those members, you'll see, I'll have a link to it on the recording, but members, you can find those right on your member dashboard. And anyone else, easiest way is to, on a desktop computer, the navigation on the bottom of the page, click on either affiliates or blog posts, and you'll either get the main page of all the affiliate offers, or you'll get links to all the affiliate offers, or at the blog, they're at the bottom of, they're always at the bottom of the page when you refresh. All right, somebody says, I like the idea of having other streams of income. I've been 100% time for compensation. I need to fix that. Yeah, you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, when I lost 5 weeks to COVID, that was, that if I had just been a service-based entrepreneur, that would have been devastating, and I mean, yes, I have a spouse, but we don't all have backups, and a lot of us with spouses don't have backups. So it's just so valuable. You want to be able, if you want or need, right? Not just need, but want to be able to take a break. Okay, so, look around. There are other things like I'm always trying to get people to put recruiter distributions in their top package, that pie in the sky package that not many people buy, but it's a resource you can resell and make money off of. Another piece is maybe you're an interview coach and you don't do resumes, or you do assessments, but you don't do resumes. Look around. It's easy if you attend CDI's networking events to meet people. Actually, all of our events have one-on-one networking, but you might not be paired with the right person. But you can also search the directory, find that person who doesn't compete with you service-wise, but has the complementary services you need. Have a Zoom coffee with them and see if maybe you can start up a partnership, because we don't have to become all things or develop all pieces of knowledge. It's very, very simple to create a partnership with a like individual where, again, this is hours for dollars. Yes, it's true, but still it's getting things off of your plate, increasing your revenue, and also making sure that your clients are getting a complete solution. So you could sell their services, they could sell yours. Like, I'm not suggesting you just refer people, because people tend to fall through the cracks, although you'll make this work the way it works best for you. The ones I've seen that have been most successful are the ones that literally the coach puts the resume writer on their page and sells them for all they're worth, and vice versa, so that it looks like you have a bigger team, that you're working with, and that fulfills all the needs and desires. Very valuable. All right. So thanks, Patricia, for letting me know. I don't know if I have multiple. Last week we had 11 Facebook users, and only one person I could see their name. So that's why I keep saying a Facebook user, because I don't want to think it's you and have it be somebody else. So, okay, some other ways. So if you have purchased the CDI Certified Employment Interview Consultant Program, which in the past was open only to members, but in late 2023, we did pull an option in for making all of our courses and certifications open to non-members. You just don't get to take advantage of the 25% discount that members get. But even though membership is closed, one of our three tiny loopholes that are out there is, if you're signing up for a course or certification, there is an option right there to become a member and get the member price on it. But it's the only way you can get in while we have our wait list. But anyway, if you are somebody who has purchased this program, it is incredibly unique, because I created the entire thing when I was an award-winning director of placement for a private university. It's scripted and color-coded, so that literally you just read from it and no one realizes you're just reading it. It sounds like me talking to you right now, except with all the errors and twisted tongue. So I'm not stuffy. I'm not proprietary. I don't want you to steal my information, and I certainly it's in CDI's literature that you can't sell it, teach it to other career industry practitioners. But I tell people, hey, go record yourself on short videos on each module, make a video, create a library of videos. You have something to sell. Pick and choose just the ones you want. Don't want to do that? There's either a quiz or a check sheet or a tip sheet at the end of, I think, almost every single module that you can gather together to make a packet. And well, bam, you have something else to sell besides your one-on-one time. Sort of the same thing with the Certified Hidden Job Coach and Profile Writer course. That one is it's on the site. You can see it. If you can figure out how to find it from the links on the bottom of the website. It is out there. It just can't be purchased online. You'd have to reach out to me. I have it offline to update it, but it has this awesome bonus in that I shared my 50-page packet that I was giving to my private clients my transition workshop clients, my group program people. So, hey, you signed up for my group program, but I don't have it for 2 more weeks. Here, go through this packet while you're waiting. I also used it when I did corporate and government transition assistance. And yes, I have updated it in the last few years, but that's a bonus you get with the course. So you can use that packet as something of tangible value to sell to your clients. And then exclusive to CDI members, this is a super awesome big one, is that we have a library of done-for-you content. We also have a couple of great webinars to help you with content. But if you go to your member dashboard, there is a done-for-you section on there, and there are, I think there's currently 8 tip sheets to choose from, or grab all of them. And this is fabulous because they are in Microsoft Word, so you just download them. We have a suggested place for putting your logo, a suggested place for putting your contact information. But you have, as a CDI member, you have the ability to customize it in any way you want. Put it in your package just to add value and increase the price. Sell it as a standalone. We have one member who uses one of them as a lead magnet on her website. You also can use lead magnets in your About section on your LinkedIn profile to get somebody into the funnel. So these are great. We are adding to them, but there's 8 of them out there that run from salary negotiation to job search networking, to customizing your resume, to identifying best job references and creating your reference page. So they kind of run the gamut. An example here for you is I have a private client who has freed up a lot of time because came from a parallel industry and doesn't have all the knowledge. And I'm like, look, you're taking the courses, you sign up for the CEIC and the hidden job market and profile course, but you want to have packages now. So bundle these together and make them your job search strategy package, or your strategy package, because there's interview and negotiation stuff in there. And put a dollar value on it, which I'll be talking about more in a second, because that's my next topic, is monetization. But just make that your thing in your package. And so now she has this, value added thing in her package that gives somebody a complete solution. And all she's doing is turning over tip sheets that she didn't even have to produce herself. So I don't know. It's pretty awesome and easy. You could have a product by the end of the day today, which leads me to the 2 on-demand webinars that members have access to. So Dr. Janine Bennett, she did Vision to Purpose as her company. She hosted a session with CDI last year called Craft a Profitable Client Product Without the Need to Write, which is, I think, really neat. This will let you create a custom workbook or journal using pre-written, pre-designed. You pick and choose from a library of tons of rights approved. You have to pay for them, but it's like $7 or $14. But there's covers, there's pages to put inside of it. You mix and match to create your own tool. And then she goes on to show you how to put it on Amazon. So literally you could create a workbook or a journal as something to add to your packages, or sell as a standalone item and sell on Amazon within a day. It's easy to get. There's a lot there to pick from, so it's easy to go down a rabbit hole, but really cool. And that is an on-demand that I will link to with the recording. And the other webinar for members is called How Career Industry Pros Make Special Offers Without Discounting Services or Creating Products. I initially created it this past November, around making cyber offers, because quite honestly, that is a very underutilized opportunity for career practitioners. People do invest in themselves, not just in their children, around the Black Friday, Cyber Week holidays. So I talked about it, and I want to think that I shared like 11 different ways that you could make offers without trading hours for dollars, giving a discount, and many of them were, or even creating a product. So the people who attended live were literally blown away. So if you're still looking for more food for thought, those are great webinars to replay. CDI member webinars are always included in registration. We've already got 4 on the books for January and February. I think the next one is next Thursday. We have Andrea Thomas of Tech with Andrea, who's going to be talking about using AI for furthering your career services businesses and social media marketing. So really, really cool. All right. Any questions or other thoughts? Let me know in the chat. Just checking the chat here. Okay. So let's talk about monetization. So hold on. With my one-to-one clients, I help them figure out, retail-based higher prices for their a la carte menu, because this is a very important foil of showing this is what they cost on their own. Why on earth wouldn't you buy a package? We always do that first before we look at the 3 packages and that Goldilocks strategy of too soft, too hard, just right. And again, I'm talking about packages next week. So if you're like, oh, I need to know about that, the best way not to leave money on the table, packages, and how to get people to pick them, we're going to be talking about that. But again, you can make these items stand alone as well. And that was the point of today. So I will not talk about that yet. But one thing I want to caution on here is I don't often recommend that you make your product be the same as your service. So in other words, if your high ticket item, and if you're going to sell it on the same website, if your high ticket item is resume writing, or the main reason people come to you first for your services is, resume writing, then I wouldn't make your product be a resume writing guide or a resume writing worksheets or whatnot for $39, $79, $99, because that's just kind of confusing to a job seeker. Well, if this same expert wants $1,200 for her resume, but I can get all her knowledge in her worksheets for $99, well, I'll just pay the $99. It's like a very fine line to walk. It's often much better that you pick complementary things. Like if your clients most often come to you for interview coaching, you can have, what to look for in your resume, how to customize your resume, why customizing your resume is important, tips to finding job opportunities online. The other complementary topics could be your products. Likewise, if your product's resume writing, your service is resume writing, then your products are going to be. So I know that's not pricing, but I just wanted to say that because it is kind of a necessary thing to think about. When it comes to pricing, you need to know that your knowledge is worth money. The same way I'm always trying to convince so many career practitioners to raise their rates. Like, if you're spending 7 to 10 hours on a resume and you're only charging $300 to $500 for it, you're losing money, because it's not, unless you've got some secret I don't know about. There's a bazillion apps these days to running a business. It's the way at least it seems to me. Everybody wants a piece. Block and spam here, moderating there. I don't know. Anyway, things cost money. We have inflation. But yet we all want to be, especially, these coach career service mindsets. Oh, we don't want to take advantage, or it's just knowledge I have that I was giving away before. I don't care. It's your expertise that you worked hard to develop, and it's worth money. So it's just really, really important that when you think, you know, I'm going to charge this for it, and it's this little bitty number, you definitely should increase it. My perfect example is I talked about the CEIC course, and I pointed out the workbook here. Well, when I started producing the workbook with the actually initially we didn't even use, it was pre-on-demand printers, and we did it all in-house, and oh God, it was so work intensive. I had a binding machine, and it was awful. But anyway, when I had a suggested retail price of like $19.95 for it, and please understand that was like back in like the year 2000. But it was my own users who were coming back and saying, oh, I have this in my package. I value this in my package at 39 to 50. It was somewhere at 39, more were at 59. And so I honestly came up with my suggested price for people going forward based on what other people told me to charge. So oftentimes I find when I'm working with somebody on their pricing, they'll be like, I'm going to charge $19 for it or $7 for it. And I always want to pause and go, well, if you have a high volume market, like if you're going to invest, say, in Facebook ads, and you're going to have this $7 item, yes, there are so many job seekers out there that you can pitch that service to. Sorry, somebody just tried to come in my front door. Okay, so $7, it gets in front of tens of thousands of people potentially. And you have the ability, hey, $7 is a no-brainer to get hold of Jill's tool or Jill's map to resume writing or whatnot. So if 1,000 people buy it, it's great. And you're getting them hopefully into a funnel of emails that leads to your services, has a higher offer in there. So, you know, those are places where the really low prices work. But if you're talking about, you know, your expertise in a tool that you're selling on your site or you're putting it into your packages, you're typically going to take your first price that you think of and double or triple it to come up with what's really an accurate number. And keep in mind, prices are all over the place. We see, you know, if you look at like LinkedIn Learning, all that free training if you're at a certain level. Training is at there's so much of it out there at all different price points. We see courses from $1,997 down to free. You get to decide what to put it at. And I honestly don't have a perfect amount to say like your course should be this much or just keep in mind, if you're pitching job seekers and you're not advertising and you don't have a whole bunch of people, you're probably going to want mid-rate. And usually, like, for instance, I did mention earlier that the CDI tip sheets. So if we say there's the 8 tip sheets, what might you value those at? You might say they're worth, you know, $3.99 a la carte, and they're $1.99 in your package. It's all the expertise they need, whether you created it or not, and it's easier to bundle. It's also easier to have as individual items on your website or on the place where you're going to promote them. So the biggest thing I can tell you there, besides, you know, price in your comfort zone, but don't underprice. And if you have questions about it, if you're part of the Career Industry Accelerator Club, you can ask them there. You get one-on-one coaching in a group format with me through that. If you have joined CDI's free Facebook community, you can get feedback from your colleagues, and I do pitch in a little there as well. These are great places to bounce things off of people and get, you know, feedback on what they suggest you offer something at, or even feedback on ideas. Just don't undervalue what you're offering. So let me know questions or thoughts on pricing and monetization in the chat, please. I don't see anything right now. So let me close this topic today talking to you about the Career Innovator Awards. So you might have seen, if you're on our email list, you received an email this morning. If you looked very closely at the announcement for this live event today, that we were going to be talking about the Career Innovator Awards from Career Directors International. So this is an award competition that CDI has been hosting since the year 2009. Yeah, we don't host it every year. Basically, we had the Toast of the Resume Industry Resume Writing Awards in CDI from the year 2000 on. Those are every single year. I kind of felt in 2009 that we needed a way for other career practitioners and resume writers to be recognized for their innovation and excellence in bringing information, resources, and tools to job seekers. So we created the Career Innovator Awards, and it did run every year. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2012. We put it on hiatus. For 5 years, we did not offer the Career Innovator Awards because, there's a number of reasons we didn't do it that I won't go into. How's that? But we did bring them back in 2018. And since then, we have been really monitoring, do we have enough entries? Because that's a big thing. If most people are focused on services and not on resources, tools, and solutions, we're not going to have very many entries. So it's 2024, and it's the first time we've offered the Career Innovator Awards since 2022. Hopefully we'll offer them again in 2026, but we're always monitoring for volume of entries to decide if it's worth it. Because to you might just think, oh, I'm just pay my little entry fee and submit my innovation. There's so much work that goes into running any type of a competition with volunteers and taking your innovation and getting it to the volunteers and following up with the volunteers and correlating and collating. And anyway, this is a huge endeavor. And if, say, 12 people enter, we still have to do all the work. It's just on a small scale. We don't do this for the money. We do this because being recognized with an award, whether it was the Tory Award for a resume writer or an Innovator Award for a career practitioner, is really going to help you set yourself apart. So how it works is you purchase an whatever we call it, an entry. $49.95 is what we charge for the innovator per entry. Most people only have one entry. Could be a book, an ebook, an app, a tool, a website, a course, a script, some new methodology. I mean, it's innovation. I don't know what it's going to look like. What matters is it is job seeker facing in career or resume services. And why should you enter? Recognition, baby. So I mean, really having your resource be recognized by a group of your peers within a global professional association as something of innovation and excellence with a 2024 Career Innovator Award logo that you put on your page and splash around to the world. I mean, that can help job seekers. I mean, I don't think I had to tell you this, but I'm gonna, because maybe you're not even thinking about this. But honestly, your service, your products can be one of tens of thousands of others in our unregulated industry who are like, oh yeah, I know this because I once stayed at a Holiday Inn, right? Just kidding. You've seen those commercials. But everybody thinks they know everything, right? And so you're competing against that. And hopefully that's led you to get certifications and professional affiliations and do other things to help you stand out. But an award is really the cream of the crop. And in my world, I scaled my business. I landed the contracts I landed and the opportunities that fell in my lap based a lot on awards and recognition and credentials I held. So you want to have a product to be able to say it received a 2024 Career Innovator Award from Career Directors International. That's going to help you get job seekers to know, like, and trust you and your services. It can lead not only from selling that because you opened that door, but selling your services. And then, like I said, it's something else that speaks up when you're going after a transition contract, which might not even be on your radar now. But I had a guest, Laura Lebovich, on right before Christmas. I had 7 guests with me talking about the ROI of CDI membership, and I didn't even know half of what she said about that. I couldn't remember that she came to me when she had her first contract opportunity, and now she has 120 corporate outplacement contracts, and I think a team of 20 that serves those. But way back in the day, it was her first one, and I remember my first one. So you never know what door is going to get open, that when you put in your proposal, the fact that you've created these tools and resources adds value, and the fact that they got an award is really the cream of the crop. It's something to announce to the media. It's something to post on social media. It's something to put in your email signature, on your product page. Hey, if it's print on demand, on the cover of the book, in the book description, you name it, you can play up the value and ROI of an award. So I don't think it can be overstated that there is value. So if you have any questions about the awards, let me know. They are currently open. If you go to the careerdirectors.com website, click on programs, in the navigation, you'll see awards that will lead you to the page on it. Again, I'm going to link to it in the recording for sure. So worth checking out, only open every 2 years or less. I think we have registration open till February 15th or February 7th. I don't have it written down. I don't remember at the moment, but it is open now. So if you're inspired to create products, programs, differentiate offers, hopefully, even though I segued into that very quickly, hopefully you've got some great ideas here today. So off of innovators and closing out what I'm talking about, creating a product or program, or entering an existing one, it's a great way to help you make 2024 an even greater success, because that's a lot of what I'm talking about since December, November, is how we're going to make this our best year yet, coming out of what was a really, really crazy year. So who's motivated to create a product or program, or who plans to enter an existing product or program in the Career Innovator Awards this year? Let me know in the chat. All right, we're wrapping up here. Just a few more things. So the bonus association member prompts. It is a 2-part prompt this week to help you kickstart initial brainstorming on topics for your product or program or course. And then the second part of the prompt will let you get granular in a specific category. I really feel this will help you nail down a topic for a product or segment. And I will include that with the replay. It'll just be invisible unless you're logged in as a member. And I know I've talked about it twice already, so I'll only spend a second here. Next Wednesday, January 17th, I'm going to be talking about shifting from selling what the client asks for to what the client needs. So this is all going to be about no longer leaving money on the table or misleading clients to think a single service is a magic bullet. We are talking about packages, and I love to talk about packages. So, all right, please, if you like what you heard today, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. And let me put up my lovely information here. Where is my lovely information? I can't get my... Okay. That was a little slow. So we do currently have CDI Association membership closed, again, unless you do one of the loopholes like signing up for the competition or buying a course or certification. But you can still start taking advantage of all the goodness that CDI has to offer. Just go over to careerdirectors.com/free stuff. And you will see all sorts of opportunities on that page. One, join the CDI Facebook community. Valuable way. We put daily prompts in there to start conversations, give you opportunities for support and accountability and networking and referrals. So it is very great. Also on that page, a ton of deep dive lessons to give you a taste of the CDI experience. There's actually a testimonial on the page from a now member who claims he built a six-figure practice based on those free resources alone. So there is really good stuff out there. And imagine if it's good, how amazing it is on the inside. There are a lot of lessons, however, so I definitely recommend you take my 5-minute quiz on figuring out what's blocking you from a six-figure income, because not only is it going to help you figure out your blocker, it's going to segment all those free resources and point you to exactly where you need to start and focus. And then, of course, if you're not a member, please go over to the join page, learn about what makes CDI so unique and valuable, and sign up for the wait list, because waitlist members will hear about opportunities before the general public will. All right, so what else do I have to tell you? I think that's about it. Remember, our certifications and courses are open to non-members, so you can come over and check those out as well. And I will have this replay ready for everyone. And I hope to see our innovators innovating in the Career Innovator Award competition. And I hope to see the great products and programs that maybe come out of today's discussion. Together, we are going to make 2024 amazing. So until we meet again next week or in one of CDI's other venues, let's fly higher.